Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Transitions are difficult for a human being because people usually don't like to change. When they get accustomed to something, they don't like changing that. Now, one of the most frightening transition for a human being is at the time of death, when they have to move on from this world to the next world. And this is a time when all people are afraid. However, a group of people, for them, there will be a glad tiding. Allah Almighty told us in the Holy Quran that the angels will be sent down to them to comfort them. Tell them, don't worry. And don't be sad. Don't be afraid. And don't be sad. Don't be afraid from what you are coming to, the hereafter. Don't be sad for what you have left behind. Your property, your people, your children. Don't worry about them. The relationship between us and angels are very unique because they are always there for the believers throughout their lives. In this world, they are protecting them now. At the time of death, that is when they come and give them this glad tiding of these two things. So one of them, this is at the time of death. However, it doesn't stop there. They will give them the glad tiding of their place in paradise, comforting them that don't worry, you are among the people of paradise. At the time of death, every believer will receive this glad tiding from the angels. This is mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that he will not be afraid. And that is why the soul of the believer will live peacefully and easily. In the narration, it will be removed from the body like you remove a strand of hair or one piece of hair from a dough. As smooth as that. Because it's no longer afraid. It's no longer sad. So it's not connected with this. And that is why immediately after death, if you will give to the believer everything in this world, to go back even for one day, he will refuse. Amen? I have seen the glad tiding. Now it doesn't stop there. What about in the grave? The grave is also a very difficult place. And Allah Almighty will send the angel to comfort them there. Tell them, we are your allies and your supporters in this world and in the hereafter. So in this world now, in the hereafter, after you die until the judgment day. What about during judgment day? Do they leave you? If they have not left you in this world at the time of death and inside the grave, they're not going to leave you there. Now, surprisingly, this is mentioned in the Holy Quran as well. There will be what is called the day of the greatest fear or fright. Mentioned in the Holy Quran. There will be a blow, many blows. There will be 3 blows. But one of them is the blow of fright. Everyone will be extremely afraid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that every living thing in the heavens and in the earth will be afraid, except, there is an exception. There is always an exception. That exception is for a group of people. That group of people again are the believers. How come they are not afraid at that time? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, لَا يَحْزُنُهُمُ الْفَزَعُ الْأَكْبَرُ. They are not afraid, frightened, overburdened with the greatest fright or fear. They are not. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately mentioned after that, تَتَلَقَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. The angels receive them. And they start welcoming them. Don't worry. This is not for you. The angels will be there for you at the time of resurrection, at the time of standing for judgment, at the time of passing the sirat, until they deliver you inside paradise. by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the glad tiding for the believers throughout. Now we have to stop at some places very quickly because this is very lengthy, but it will take some glimpses or some scenes in it. Now one of the interesting position between the angels and the believers in the judgment day is that they will deliver them in groups like an envoy, honorable envoys coming to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking them in groups. When they reach there, they will find all people already standing for judgment. All what? All people and all the jinn, all of them in one single place. What is surprising about this place, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, although all of them are already there, we don't know how many, God knows, from the day of creation until the judgment day, how many there are going to be? No idea. For sure there will be billions and billions, probably trillions, we don't know. The jinns are already way more than people. How many? We don't know. However, the Messenger ﷺ said, anyone who calls, they will all hear him. Anyone who will look, he will see all of them. It's not like I cannot see, or I can see just to a certain place. No, I'll be able to see all. And all can hear. The judgment is a very difficult time. SubhanAllah, even in our life, if they'll tell you, for example, there is an audit coming, no matter how good you are, no matter how perfect you are, you have done everything, you are 100% trustworthy and everything, you will still, we have to pass this. It's a test. However, for the believers, there will be an easy accountability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Holy Quran, Allah Almighty will give them very light judgments. The judgment is not necessarily with a punishment, no. But the whole process is going to be easy. How is it going to be? The Messenger ﷺ told us something very interesting. It shows you the love and mercy and compassion from Allah Almighty to His believers and His followers. The Messenger ﷺ said, Allah Almighty brings the believer closer and closer and closer until He shields him with His shield. Nobody can see now. It's like a private discussion between the person and his Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah Almighty remind him of his sins. The small and the big. The one done in the open or in secret. Done intentionally and unintentionally. Everything. Except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives and removed from the accounts. Everything. Allah Almighty mentioned in the Holy Quran, and for every human being we will give him a book in which everything is written about him. We tell him, read your book yourself. You are going to judge yourself. You tell us. Is this yours? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, are these all yours? Have you done? You remember when you did so and so? Yes, I remember. Acknowledging your mistake is a virtue. We need to learn and practice in this world before the hereafter, so that in the hereafter you'll be able to do that. If you start denying your mistakes in this world, probably in the hereafter you will fail, God forbid. It's a big problem. Acknowledge, I made a mistake, apologize and start correcting. Don't say no. Don't defend your mistakes. No. That is why Allah Almighty asks him about everything. He says, yes, I remember. Remember when you did so and so? I remember. Remember? Now what is surprising is that he's been asked about the little things also. The little things. Until he thinks that he is doomed. Okay, if the judgment is so precise, then there is no way I'm going to succeed. Because he is waiting for the big ones. These are things that I don't even recall. I don't remember very well. I don't remember doing it probably intentionally. I've done it. Until he thinks that he is doomed, his Lord, Allah Almighty, will tell him, my servant, I have shielded you in that world before, and today I am forgiving all of that for you. Then he will be giving his book, sin-free. He has forgiven. Allah Almighty forgave him. So he will be given his book, sin-free, 0. He will take it with his right hand, and that is when he leaves and he is happy and he says, here, read my book. Going to the angel, I've said, this is it, this is my result. Yes, of course, because now it's pure, perfect. Then Allah Almighty will admit him into paradise. But there will be people who have not done any good deed, and they are among the believers as well. What is going to happen to them? Are they going to be similar to those who disbelieved entirely? No way. أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ? Are we going to treat the believers and the criminals in the same way? What is wrong with you? How are you judging? What is the judgment? It's not going to be the same no matter what. The Messenger ﷺ told us about a man. He will be brought among the believers, and he will be shown his record. Now the problem with that record is not only one book. It is 99 books. Each one as far as the eye can see. All of them are bad deeds. All of them. So his Lord Allah Almighty asked him, is there anything here that you haven't done? He says, no, my Lord. Again, acknowledging your mistakes. This is the sign of the believers. Tell me, have my angels wrote anything by mistake, or have they did any wrong to you? He says, no, everything is perfect, precise, exactly. I remember all of them. No, my Lord. Allah Almighty tells him, my servant, have you done any good deeds? He tried to recall, and he does not recall anything. None. Zero. This is the worst believer ever. Zero. He says, no, my Lord, I don't remember. Allah Almighty says, nay, there is one good deed for you. So Allah Almighty asked the angel to bring it, and it is written now in a small card. This hadith is known among the scholars of hadith as the hadith of the card, the hadith al-bitaqa. Like a business card, small card. It is called the narration of the card. This is one of the most beautiful glad tidings to the believers ever. So when he sees it, he says, my Lord, what is this card going to do with all these 99 books? Allah Almighty tells him, my servant, you are not going to be denied any good deed. Today, no injustice at all. Perfect justice. So we have to put it in the scale, and we have to see how much it is. It is put in the scale. Allah Almighty makes it very heavy. All the 99 books are thrown away. That single card is heavier. He sees what is in the card, and in the card is La ilaha illallah. That's it. He was among the people of La ilaha illallah, the believers. This is called Hadith al-Bitaqa, and Allah Almighty will forgive all his sins for his sincere faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make us among those, the people of La ilaha illallah. That is why whenever you have any time, any free time, any moment that you are alone, any moment that you are feeling sincerely close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, say La ilaha illallah. Put it in your record always. La ilaha illallah. You never know when you are going to need it. The Messenger ﷺ said in the hadith, the happiest person with me in the hereafter is the one who said sincerely from his heart for the sake of Allah, La ilaha illallah. Sincerely for the sake of Allah Almighty. Never waste this opportunity. Anytime. La ilaha illallah, say it from your heart. It could save you. This is the hadith of the Bitaqa. Beautiful hadith. And Allah Almighty is ready to forgive. Allah Almighty called upon those who transgressed greatly against themselves with so many sins and wrongdoings. Do not despair of the mercy of Allah Almighty, for Allah Almighty forgives all the sins entirely. Allah Almighty is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Not to be afraid. final glimpse in the hereafter. A hadith mentioned by the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a bit lengthy, no time to elaborate on all of it. At the end, the last person to be admitted into paradise, this is the one who is going to be the least place in paradise. When he is told to enter paradise and he looks and he sees all people has already settled down, all of them are in their palaces and their places, they have received the mercy from Allah Almighty, they are with their families, enjoying it. He does not see any place for him. Where am I going to go? Enter paradise. Where am I going to go? I cannot see any place for me. Allah Almighty will tell him, my servant, will you be pleased if you are giving like the kingdom of a king in this world, on earth? Imagine a person ruling all over the earth entirely, with all its blessing, all its pleasures, all its favors from Allah Almighty, all its treasures. Are you going to be pleased? He said, yes, my Lord, I'll be pleased. He said, Allah Almighty tells him, my servant, it is for you. You get that? And you get with it another fold, and with it a similar one, and with it a similar one, and with it a similar one. At the fifth time he says, my Lord, I am pleased, I am pleased. Allah Almighty tells him, you have all of that and 10 times its fault. Imagine if this is the person who is going to be in the least place in paradise. What about the people in the middles, the people at the highest place in paradise? What about the people who are going to be in A'la Aliyin, Firdaus Al-A'la with the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the prophets and messengers? May Allah Almighty make us among them. So you have to concentrate on trying to get as much of that as possible. May Allah Almighty make us the companions of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the highest place in paradise. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.